This week on the Blaine and Katey Guide to Japan, I enjoy some hot ramen in the cold.
You love your ramen, Blainer?
What?
You love your ramen?
Oh, I love my ramen.
Katey slides down the ice. And we both freeze. We journeyed from Hell's Valley to Sapporo. And of course, our first stop in Sapporo was the Sapporo Brewery.
Yay, beer!
There was a short brewery tour, as well as a little tasting room where we got to try 3 different types of Sapporo beer, which is kind of fun, because for us, Sapporo is just the silver Sapporo with the star and the black label. Like, that's just what we usually get. So seeing that they did indeed have other types was pretty interesting. And then we sat down in the brew house restaurant for some Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan, of course, being the actual pronunciation for Genghis Khan, this is a dish that is just covered in lamb. And so what you do is you go in and you sit down and everybody orders their all-you-can-eat service, and you get all-you-can-eat of fresh or frozen lamb and a huge mountain of veggies.
It's so good, you guys. The sauce that comes with it is just incredible. And it's on this kind of unique to Genghis Khan dome, sort of. Yeah. So that all the juices from the lamb just kind of drip down towards the cabbage and get it all nice and juicy. And it's just fabulous.
And you get a bib. They make you wear a bib while you're eating it.
Bonus bib.
Bonus bib. Bonus bib.
So we weren't just there for the beer. Obviously, that's a really big perk. We happened to attend the 69th Sapporo Snow Festival.
We stayed in an Airbnb that was just about a station and a half south of the Odori Park where the Sapporo Snow Festival takes place. And right next to us on our way to the station was this fantastic bakery. Like, you walked in and you could smell it from across the road. And then once you got in, you just got hit with this intense wall of flavor. Oh, we went back the next day so that we could try more of the things. And, yeah.
All the pastries we could ever want.
So good.
Delicious pizzas, cute panda little buns, and everything's
If
delicious.
You're unfamiliar with how an Asian bakery works, from everything in this area here in the Northwest, Taiwanese bakeries, Chinese bakeries, they're very similar designs. You get your tray, you load it up with stuff, you pay for your stuff, and then you eat it. Oh my goodness. The kinds of things they put together. There's like a croissant with sausage, but it's not a sausage. It's like a hot dog and corn and then like a frosting of some kind. And it's still delicious. And you're like, what? Who thought this?
The Sapporo Snow Festival is generally at the very beginning of February when Hokkaido is at its peak of freezing. Well, I think when we were there it was around like -2 Celsius.
It was freezing.
Like, we had layers upon layers upon layers and fuzzy snow boots, and you can't even imagine how freezing it still was. And I even had 2 fuzzy hoods. Very unnecessary.
You did have
But I did have
hoods.
2 fuzzy hoods.
I forgot that you didn't take the other one off.
The point is, just dress like the kid from A Christmas Story.
I can't put my arms out!
So the Snow Festival covers all of Odori Park to start with. And as we approached, they welcomed us, like everyone else does, by playing the theme song Cool Angel's Thesis to Neon Genesis Evangelion.
And as you walk through Odori Park, you're greeted by these amazing food stalls, the mountain for snowboarding, and these incredible, massive snow sculptures.
It's really kind of hard to convey how massive these things are. There's also a whole section of like a worldwide snow carving competition, and they had different countries all labeled doing these awesome sculptures. Which
incredible.
Which one was your favorite sculpture?
I really liked, I don't know if we have video of it, but there was like a phoenix kind of, or like 2 phoenixes, I think, like 2 birds. But the one I really like the most is the Final Fantasy one. Not just because it had a crazy light show for the whole thing. fight scene, but just because it was the main event and the main attraction, and I love Final Fantasy. Blaine, what was your favorite?
Leonard Bernstein! That's for all you REM fans. Our favorite stop in Odori Park was the main food stall area. Now this was a nice block that was fully surrounded by food stalls that had different types of food from all across Hokkaido represented. We got miso ramen that was just, it was so good.
Beautiful.
We got a crab shell, like the head of a crab that was filled with crab and like potatoes and like a miso sauce over the top. We got a mushroom, like a giant portobello that was filled with cheese and potato. We also got omakase, which is sort of the, I would compare it to like how sarsaparilla is to beer, where it's slightly alcoholic, but kids can drink it.
That's right.
Omakase is to sake, where it's slightly alcoholic because it's still a little fermented, but it's a lot sweeter and it has all of the unfiltered rice in it still. But what we really enjoyed was the hot wine.
Hot wine!
With pepper! It was the weirdest thing. We were like, let's get some hot wine. That looks interesting. We've never had it before. And so we got some hot wine. And she looks at us and says, you want pepper? And we're like, pepper?
And we just look at each other like, does she mean black pepper?
Yeah, so we asked her like, hey, you mean like black pepper? And she's like, yeah. And we're like, well, what, do you put pepper in yours? And she said, I think it's better that way. And so we're like, all right, we'll go ahead. And it's better that way. A
magical drink has been invented.
If you ever get mulled wine, put a few shakes of cracked black pepper in there, changes it entirely.
Yeah, for the better. And just south of Odori Park was Tsukino, which is the red light district that had some incredible ice sculptures. And when we say the red light district, it just really means there's a lot of girl bars there, or there's these girl hosts that sit and pour beer and drinks with you and just chat with you. It's pretty tame to other red light districts, so don't be alarmed.
Some of the cool sculptures that we saw in this area were of some beautiful bird sculptures, as well as they had an entire airplane fuselage that you could sit in these ice chairs. They had a Formula One car that I sat in and actually broke the zipper on my jacket.
Oh, that's right.
As well as a giant slide that you could come down on the ice, and that looked like a lot of fun.
It was so much fun. When night came, we needed some really good food in a nightcap, so we hit up our local infoman. What's an infoman, Blaine?
I played the Yakuza games before, and in those games, you go to this little guy and you say, I need to go to a bar, and the guy takes you to where a bar is. They're actually in Japan, and they actually work really well. You walk in, and there's guys, and they usually will have some coupons related to different areas. You tell them what you want, so we go in, and we used our famous word, Nomi Hodai, and told them, hey, I want some Nomi Hodai and some good food. And they would look through their little list and say, okay, this bar, they'll call the bar, hey, do you have an open table? I've got, 2 or 3 people that speak English, or however many people are in your party. You're ready to take them. And it's such a fun way to find a bar that you wouldn't have gone to normally. You just walk in, tell them what you want. We found a really cool, almost underground bar that just had some amazing liquor selection as far as more finer like bourbons and whiskeys. And then we went into like an Irish pub as well, where we met some salarymen and made friends and exchanged business cards, because they always get so excited when you have business cards as a white person.
Then we headed to Tsudome, which had a lot of fun snow slides. You get your inner tube and glide down those. There's some snow putt-putt that we tried for the first time, and a large indoor area with some games and kids play area and stuff. There was quite a bit to do there, but honestly, it was more geared towards the younger crowd. Yeah. So kids and young teens.
If you've got children in your party, I would definitely go there. Next time when we're there during the Snow Festival, we'll probably skip out on that area just because the slides were about the only real adult thing we could do.
Yeah, and the wait was a little bit long, like half an hour to go down a slide.
We then took some time to go visit Shiroi Koibito, this chocolate factory in Sapporo. And they make these little wafer cookies sandwiched around chocolate, among lots of other things, but they're most famous for these little cookies that are, how would you describe them? Like a square vanilla Oreo?
Yeah. That seems like an apt description.
It's like an inside-out Oreo, because the inside is white chocolate. Mm-hmm. So you got chocolate on the inside, but then like vanilla cookie on the outside. But
it's just perfectly moist, not too sweet, and just, they're perfectly made.
We took the tour, and it started out in this big fountain of a room that almost looked like a Grecian bathhouse. It's a weird start, and then we move into these rooms that have case after case of true hot chocolate cups when they had little lids and plates, and it was just when they were heating up the chocolate way years and years and years ago. And then another room full of Demitasse cups for your espresso that you would have a little bit of chocolate with your espresso if you had enough money.
They were beautiful, to be honest.
Beautiful, beautiful things. It just felt more like a grandma's hutch as opposed to a candy factory museum. And then we got into the area that had all of their products listed out, followed by the Tunnel of Chocolate, where they had small animatronics describing how chocolate is actually produced, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And then we got to see the actual workers under the supervision of terrifying children. And the tour had a bit of a Small World vibe to it. There were some chefs singing the Coibito song. We're just going to call it the Coibito song because we don't know what else it would be. Then as we approached the gift shop, there was this huge tank full of sea angels, which are a little tiny white sea cucumber just floating around. They're part of like the famous creatures in the area of Hokkaido.
They're really cute.
Yeah, they're cute.
I like them.
So we watched them make some candy. We went into the gift shop, decided to get some ice cream, sit down with old Honest Abe and eat our ice cream before we went out into the snow to look at the lights.
Why is Abraham Lincoln there?
Hey, I wouldn't touch that if I were you.
Outside are some beautiful lights and a beautifully warm greenhouse that we were able to sit in when Katey got a little too cold. And
way to call me out on that.
I mean, what, do you think I'm cold?
Yeah, he wears shorts in the winter. It doesn't make sense.
It's fine. And while we were in there, the show began. You need to also have this stuck in your head, so please enjoy the next 10 seconds or so of music. This went on for how long?
At least 5 minutes.
It just kept going. Like, you start recording and you're like, oh, this is weird, this is interesting. And then you're like, okay, all right, there's a railing.
It's still going.
All right, how much longer? I can't do it. We just had to walk away. We left while it was still going. It was insane.
On our last night in Sapporo, the infoman recommended us this rock and roll bar that was really cool. And when we arrived there, they were playing Ghost in the Shell on the TV and Akira. Because why not?
The guy was really nice, and he and I connected over Motley Crue, and we enjoyed our night of Nomi Hodai and snacks. Join us for our next guide as we go from the Snow Festival to the Ice Festival.
And make sure to like this video, you guys, if you found this video helpful. Subscribe to our channel and ring that notification bell to keep getting updates on our next Japan guides. Looking forward to seeing you guys in Japan. And we'll see you next time, Minasan.